Mother Nature shows mercy to no one. When the lights of the cities go out, when the safe protection of concrete disappears, thousands of people will fall into the same illusion. Run to the countryside. Survive. This is the shortest death warrant modern humans have ever written. Those peaceful tree cabins you saw in the movies, self-sufficient farms and people, all of them are myths. If you were not born and raised in the countryside, reality is hypothermia, dehydration, and logistical blindness. Today, we will examine why the one who leaves the herd is not devoured by wolves, but by their own ignorance. The prepared hold their ground. Statistics hit the road. I want to tell you something. Do you remember the 2021 Texas winter storm? February 13th to 17th, 2021. It lasted 5 days. The city power grid collapsed. Millions were left in darkness. Temperatures dropped to -19 degrees Celsius. And what did people do? They ran. They got into their cars and floored it toward the countryside. So what happened? A pileup of 133 vehicles on Interstate 35. 6 people died and hundreds were injured due to accidents and other causes. Vehicles were stranded on ice for hours. As engines kept running, those who were unprepared ran out of fuel. People were trapped inside their own vehicles and froze to death. Escape did not save them. The laws of physics do not listen to panic. Most escape plans fail to account for fuel consumption of an engine idling on a gridlocked highway. Let's run a day zero simulation together. Under normal conditions, there is a vehicle that consumes 7 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers. An average sedan, a 50-liter fuel tank. Range, 714 kilometers. That's a reasonable consumption and range, isn't it? Now here are the real conditions. A 50-kilometer traffic jam. Vehicles moving at 5 kilometers per hour. Air conditioning is running because people are stressed and it's hot. Or the opposite, winter and the heater is on. Take your pick. Fuel consumption at idle, 2 liters per hour, 10 hours trapped in traffic, 20 liters of fuel, 40% of the tank. Distance traveled, 50 kilometers. Range loss, 60%. The 700 kilometers you plan to travel with 50 liters of fuel, now it's 280 kilometers, and you haven't even truly started the journey. Here's what no one tells you. Gas stations run on electricity. Pumps don't work without power. In a crisis within the first 6 hours, 73% of fuel stations become non-operational. Finding fuel? Impossible. If you don't have spare fuel with you, your vehicle is not an escape tool. It is a metal coffin where your end will arrive. Leaving the city is not a choice. It is the art of millimeter-perfect timing. The moment you are late, you are no longer a traveler. You are an obstacle. City dwellers live inside a sterile bubble. Tap water, chlorinated, filtered, fully tested. The food you eat, past hygiene standards. The air you breathe, filtered. But the moment you step into nature, your immune system enters an asymmetric war it has never encountered before. Let me make this clear. Drinking unfiltered water is not a survival method. It is biological suicide. Giardia lamblia, Cryptosporidium parvum. These parasites and bacteria live in natural water sources. They are invisible. They range from 0.2 to 5 microns in size. You cannot see them with the naked eye. 1 sip is enough. Incubation period, 7 to 14 days. Until then, everything seems fine. And then, symptoms begin. Severe diarrhea, 10 to 15 times a day. Vomiting, abdominal cramps, dehydration. In the city, a case of diarrhea is an inconvenience. You go to the doctor, you take antibiotics, you recover. In the wilderness, this is a death notice, because the dehydration cycle begins. Diarrhea causes fluid loss. Fluid loss weakens your muscles. Weak muscles cannot carry water. Because you cannot carry water, you become even more dehydrated. 48 hours. That's all the time you have. After that, you can no longer move. According to the U.S. Army Survival Manual, 67% of deaths caused by intestinal infections in the wilderness occur within the first 72 hours. What do you think your muscle strength looks like in that condition? When your intestines fail, they are useless. I want to tell you something. A water filtration system, 0.1 micron pore size, portable, 200 grams, price $10 to $400. Someone who goes to the countryside without this, do you think they are prepared? Or are they preparing their own end? Here is another reality. The urban immune system is unadapted. It has lived for years in the same microbial environment. It is not ready for the pathogen diversity of nature. The first 72 hours are critical. Your gut flora is trying to adapt to the new environment. During this process, you are vulnerable. If you catch an infection, your body's response time is 40% slower. According to CDC data, people living in urban areas have a 58% lower resistance capacity against wilderness-based infections compared to those living in rural areas. So what do you think the outcome is? Two people drink the same water. One grew up in the countryside, the other in the city. The rural one doesn't even get sick. The urban one, 3 days later, they need an ambulance. Wearing thousands of dollars worth of tactical gear does not make you a survivor. It only makes you an amateur whose corpse looks expensive. Psychological reality. People try to compensate for lack of skill by purchasing objects. The same applies to survival equipment. A $500 knife, an $800 sleeping bag, a $1,200 tactical backpack, and a person who knows how to use none of them. Let me give you a real example. 2018 Colorado. Blue Mountains. A couple went missing. They were found 2 days later. Their equipment was perfect. $3,500 worth of gear. GPS, satellite phone, emergency beacon, but none of it was charged. Cause of death, hypothermia, minus 12 degrees Celsius. Ultra-premium sleeping bags were with them, but because they didn't know how to build a shelter to prevent heat loss, they slept in the open. A sleeping bag does not keep you warm. A shelter keeps you warm. A sleeping bag only slows heat loss. Not knowing the difference killed them. A knife does not build a shelter by itself. A fire starter? In the hands of someone shivering in the cold, it becomes useless. When your fingers go numb from hypothermia, you cannot use that premium ferrocerium rod. Harvard Wilderness Medicine Study, 2019. 347 novice campers. There is no statistically significant correlation between equipment value and survival success. 0. But between skill level and success, an 89% correlation. The greatest burden in nature is not the backpack on your shoulders. It is the information gap in your mind. You need to know how to start a fire, not just in theory. With your hands, with wet wood, in the wind, in the dark. You need to practice building shelters, in your backyard, in the middle of winter, under snow. You must test how to find water, riverbed signs, plant indicators, soil moisture. In chaos, The heaviest load is carried by those who don't know what to do or how to do it. Chaos does not begin outside. Chaos begins inside the unprepared home. Leaving the city is not salvation. It is the beginning of a new and harsher test. The city is frightening, crowded, chaotic. When you perceive a threat, your first instinct is to run. But instincts do not save you. Discipline does. If you don't have a plan, stay where you are. And that plan must be tested, timed, and logistically calculated. If you don't have discipline against nature's harsh laws, stay where you are. At least you'll know where you will die. I know this is hard to hear. The city offers you 3 things: infrastructure, community, resources. That means electricity, water, medical care, spare parts, communication networks. In the countryside, none of these exist. 0. When the road to the countryside is blocked, 90% of city dwellers return within the first 48 hours. Because reality hits. Because romanticism collides with reality. But those who can't return, they become statistics. Remember, nature does not kill you. It only exposes your deficiencies. The preparation list. Engrave it into your brain. 1. Fuel strategy. Carry a minimum of 40 liters of spare fuel, in jerry cans, not inside the vehicle, secured properly. Determine alternative routes. 3 different escape routes. Run traffic simulations. 2. Water purification. 3 methods: portable filter, chemical tablets, boiling equipment, each with redundancy. Because Murphy's Law, anything that can fail will fail at the worst time. 3. Skill development. Practice once a month, in real conditions, shelter building, fire making, first aid, navigation, not just watching videos, doing it. The real test. At 2 a.m., in the rain, with only a knife and paracord, can you build a shelter? No? Then you need to work more. 4. Physical conditioning. Can you walk 10 kilometers with a 20-kilogram load? No? Then you have no business in the countryside. If your body fat is over 25%, if you can't run 5 kilometers, if you can't lift 30 kilograms, these are not luxuries. They are minimum requirements. Do you have a chronic condition? Diabetes, hypertension, asthma? A 90-day medication supply is mandatory. Can't get it without a prescription? Talk to your doctor. Stock for emergency scenarios. 5. Mental preparedness. Decision-making under stress. Panic control. Tolerance for loneliness. These are not equipment. These are muscle memory. The SAS Survival Handbook says, survival is 10% equipment, 10% knowledge, and 80% mental resilience. So how do you develop mental resilience? Controlled stress, cold showers, fasting, long walks, solo camping, build discomfort tolerance, because everything in nature is uncomfortable, cold, wet, hungry, tired, alone. If you cannot tolerate this, you will panic on the first night. Panic leads to bad decisions. Bad decisions result in death. 6. The science of timing. The most critical factor. Most people miss this. Those who move within the first 4 hours have an 85% success rate. FEMA simulations show this. 4 to 8 hours, 60%. 8 to 12 hours, 35%. After 12 hours, 12%. The mathematical reality is this. Everyone tries to flee at the same time. The few who move early find empty roads. Those who move late are trapped inside the traffic circle. But be careful. Moving too early is also risky. False alarms, unnecessary panic, resource waste. The golden window, when the threat becomes clear, but before mass panic begins. This window is usually a 2 to 4 hour period. Observation, assessment, decision, fast, but not panicked. 7. Coordination and communication. Those who move alone die. Family members must have rendezvous points. 3 locations: primary, secondary, tertiary. Communication plan. Cell phones have a 90% chance of being unusable within the first 6 hours. Alternative: radios, FRS/GMRS. License free. Easy to use. Range: 5 to 10 kilometers. Set code words. Dinner is ready equals assemble at home. I'm grocery shopping equals emergency evacuation. Open communication is dangerous. 8. Bug out versus bug in decision. This is critical. For most scenarios, the best option is to stay put. Bug in. 2 weeks of food, water, and medication at home. Generator or solar panels. Radio. First aid kit. Escape only makes sense in these situations. Physical threats. Chemical/radiological contamination. Being in a civil conflict zone. Total societal collapse. Very rare. In all other scenarios, stay where you are. A prepared home is safer than the wilderness. Preparation is not romanticism, it is mathematics. Survival is not emotion, it is discipline. Escape is not a plan, it is a protocol. Do not become a statistic, because statistics do not speak. They are buried. Knowledge is life, ignorance is death. Be realistic. Zero protocol. Stay ready. Stay alive.